intelligence behind it. So I think I would encourage people to look deeper into science, look deeper into the nature of the universe, and ask yourself, could this have come about by chance? Because I think it should lead people to explore the maker behind it. And that's the logical course of action for me. So, yeah, I think that's what people are beginning to explore more.
What would you say to any of the young people watching tonight? What would you suggest to them if they're thinking about finding God?
I'd say grab a Bible, open it, go to a church that really believes it, takes it seriously, or at least tune in online if you want to eavesdrop first and hear the message, hear what we've got to say, because Jesus has the power to change your life.
There we go. And you're in Notting Hill?
Yeah, come and see us.
Come to see you?
Yeah, absolutely. St. Peter's, Notting Hill.
We'd love to see it. Reverend, thank you so much for joining me this evening. We love to see it, don't we? We love to see a growth in Christianity. We certainly do. Many of you have been getting in touch throughout the show today. Of course, if Donald Trump makes any... A lot of you asking, is Donald Trump actually saying anything newsworthy tonight? It doesn't look massively like it. He, of course, has been talking a lot about the war in Iran, but we will keep you posted if we hear any more. Coming up at 10 p.m. Oh, I think we might be getting Trump, actually. Here we go.
But while we're doing all of these things, we're achieving major strides toward completing our military objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete. We've wiped every single force in Iran out very completely. Most of Iran's naval power has been sunk. It's on the bottom of the sea. It's almost 50 ships. I was just notified it's 51 ships. I didn't know they had that many. Didn't last very long. And these are fighting vessels. They're meant to fight, but they're not meant to fight against us. We continue to target Iran's drone and missile capabilities. Their drones are way down. Their drone manufacturing's been hit starting today. We know all of the places they manufacture the drones, and they're being hit one after another. Their missile capability is down to about 10%, maybe less. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day, but it's all resulting in a 90% decline in various things, but in particular, Iranian missile launchers and 83% drop in drone launchers. As you know, the drone launchers are pretty well shot, but we're at over 90% decline in the Iranian missile launchers, which is very hard to reproduce and very hard to get. And usually what we were able to do through great equipment, a lot of smart people, as soon as they sent a missile up from a launcher, we were able to knock out that launcher within a period of 5 minutes or less, accurately, right on the noggin. So now we have low-cost interceptors effectively combating Iranian drones, and our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran and buried deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And we're also annihilating the manufacturing base that the regime uses to build drones and missiles at a rate that nobody thought was possible. We're knocking them out. We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly. We're ahead of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here. In addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe 3 times. And we, as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our nation, to be stuck with a situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years, killing people for 47 years, whether it's the barracks or even the SS Cole where they were involved. very strongly. They always denied it. But they were very strongly involved in all of the people that died through the roadside bombs, died and are right now walking around with no legs, no arms, a face that's been so badly damaged. The Iranian regime has been attacking Americans and spreading terror for 47 years, and despite these countless opportunities to renounce their nuclear ambitions, which they had just a short while ago, they told Mr. Witkoff, who is standing right over here, they said, they actually said, we want to keep building. Essentially, in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. If we didn't knock out Midnight Hammer, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, if we didn't do that with Midnight Hammer, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it long before now. And at a minimum, Israel would have been annihilated. I was very lucky that we had the courage to do that, that we had the talented pilots and the great equipment. The B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way. The newer, better version. It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far. You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, they never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear. We want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site, and that was protected by granite. They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper. They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process while rapidly building conventional ballistic missiles. They were going to do it all at the same time. It threatened our overseas bases and soon could have reached even our homeland. The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So as you probably saw, they had a tremendous number of missiles, most of which are now being used or destroyed, and very unsuccessfully used because we have been able, for the most part, to shoot them all down. What incredible technology. The Patriots have been unbelievable, and other things. And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Where literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what other things are doing. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And if you notice, they did something which was very foolish, very stupid, I would say. They attacked their neighbors. And their neighbors were largely neutral, or at least weren't going to be involved, and they got attacked. And it had the reverse effect. The neighbors came onto our side and started attacking them, and actually quite successfully. If you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at UAE, Qatar, and others, but they were strong and they were smart, but they got attacked. And nobody, when I first heard it, I said, no, somebody made a mistake. There was no mistake. UAE had over 1,000 missiles shot at it, knocked them almost all down. On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said, quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And all I'm doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger threat now, but no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that way. As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world. And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time, and we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and all of we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands. Since their last hit, they had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder. Thank you very much for being here. Go ahead. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you approve of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
To Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that, and why should Americans trust Marco Rubio to negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history. Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration. They trust Marco, and so do the American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very bad to a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people living the Cuban-American vote, which I got at record levels. Very important. Those people are very important to me. I know what they went through. They went through hell. Some of them have gone on to be some of the most successful people in the country. Cuban-American business people, some of them are like the most successful in the country. And a lot of them are friends of mine because I've been fighting this battle with them for a long time. The Castro regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without Venezuela. They couldn't have made it. And we cut them off from everything else. So, yeah, they're going to make either a deal or we'll do it just as easy anyway. Yeah. Please, go ahead.
There's footage that shows that an American missile strike and a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility?
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it. And I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries. You know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more. But whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries. But that's being investigated right now. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar, they have no telecommunications, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, It's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. You know, these were ships, these were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off their ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. We have the best military. We have the best equipment. We have, I believe, the best generals. We have the best. And this went very quickly. We talked about that with President Putin. He was very impressed with what he saw because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. You know, Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us and Israel, and that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And they would have used it long before this press conference. And we might have had a much different press conference if we had a press conference at all. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill? And Senator Thune said today it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy. It's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act, the Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. We want to be able to see a picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is a citizen of the United States of America. And we want no mail-in ballot scams. So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things to it: no men in women's sports and no transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want it's mutilization of our children, and we don't want that. So we added those two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points. It polls at 86% with Democrats. Think of that. The overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time. You know, as an example, virtually nobody has nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it. Yeah.
activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S. There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Do you have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new Supreme Leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran with
Well,
another
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Thank you, sir. You've said you have someone in mind to be the new Iranian leadership, if not the Ayatollah's son. What are you looking for in that person? Are you looking at someone internal, given that you just said that their leadership has been decimated?
I like the idea of, internal and eternal, come to think of it. But I like the idea of internal because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. We have a woman, Delcy, who has been, president of the country, very respected, she's doing a great job. And it's, no disruption. We had, as you remember, Iraq, where everybody got fired. The military got fired, the police got fired, the politicians got fired. There was nobody. And you know what they turned into? ISIS. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So I would like to see people that are inside go. Now, they talk about the son of the Shah. They talk about other people. But, hasn't been there in many, many years. We have a formula that's been very good so far, and I think it'll continue to be good. The relationship is extraordinary with Venezuela, smart country. We've taken out 100 million barrels of oil. It's right now in Houston being taken care of and made so beautiful. And you have to see this at work. They have it's brought to the refineries. It's being refined in Houston, which is made exactly for that product. And so far, but it's 100 million barrels of oil, and now they have another 100 million barrels coming. And it's like a partnership. We're getting along so well with them. It's great for Venezuela, and it's great for the United States. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report. Yeah, please.
You said earlier that we've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. What do you consider enough? What's your baseline?
Where they're not going to be starting the following day to develop a nuclear weapon. Where they'll look at that man and some other people from the administration and say, all right, we're not going to do it. They were not willing to say that. And when Steve called up and he said that to me, I said, well, here we go. Let's do it the hard way. But the hard way, I think, is probably the easy way. When basically I can see that they will no longer have any capacity whatsoever for a very long period of time of developing weaponry that could be used against the United States, Israel, or any of our allies. We have great allies in the Middle East, great countries that are allies. And they were staying out of it until they got hit. Someday they'll have to do a story. Why did he do that? Why did they do that? But they were going to hit them. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. I believe, upon information and belief, but I believe that he was going to, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take over the Middle East. Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite, because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks. But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last 6 months. And those missiles were aimed at various countries. And when you look at over 1,000 missiles shot at like UAE, they were looking to take over the Middle East. We got there first. We're lucky. I'll tell you what, the Middle East and those countries, very rich countries, are very lucky that I was president instead of somebody else.
And your vice president when it comes to U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so, no. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic about going, but he was quite enthusiastic. But I felt it was something we had to do. I didn't feel we had a choice. If we didn't do it, they would have done it to us. I felt, based on the negotiations that were being had by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco and Pete, and everybody was involved, I felt that they were looking to tap us along before they hit, and I thought they were going to hit. And if they hit us first, that would have been a very bad thing. In the back, please, in the back.
Sir, you said you're considering seizing the Strait of Hormuz. Is there a timeline for that?
About the Strait, you mean? Yeah, well, I want to keep it open. I want to keep it good. You know, it doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China. We're really helping China here and other countries because they get a lot of their energy from the Straits. But, hey, look, we have a good relationship with China. It's my honor to do it. Yeah.
You have called him an unacceptable choice. So does he have a target on his back? And how can you say
I don't want to say whether or not he does, because that would be inappropriate. But, hey, look, I had a target on my back because, as you people wrote pretty well, they caught the assassin that was after me. So we just got them first. But they caught the assassin. They have him now in custody that was after me. So, you know, but people don't like to mention that, but they did catch him. And I'd like to congratulate our military, Secret Service, FBI, all of the people that worked on that, but they did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave, but they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, as of today, there have been 8 U.S. military fatalities associated with the war in Iran. How many American deaths are you willing to have in this war?
Well, as I said before, when you have conflicts like this, you always have death. And I was at Dover yesterday. I met the parents, and they were unbelievable people. They were unbelievable people, but they all had one thing in common. They said to me one thing, every single one: finish the job, sir. Please finish the job. And I'll leave you at that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
There you have it. That's President of the United States, Donald Trump, giving a press conference about mostly the war in Iran. He says some quite interesting things there. He thinks the war will be over soon. A journalist asked him whether it will be over this week, and he says possibly, essentially, possibly. He also says something interesting about J.D. Vance, his vice president, who, when asked where he was, because he has been missing in action, essentially, since the beginning of this war, Donald Trump responded that he's not happy about the strikes in Iran. Is there a split in MAGA? Let's not forget, one of President Trump's key election promises was that there would be no more foreign wars. Right, let's get to my panel for their thoughts on this too. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone is here, journalist Benjamin Butterworth as well, and Reform member and ex-Tory party chairman Sir Jake Berry. Carol, I'll start with you. I think perhaps we've heard a lot of that already.
Yeah,
right?
we have.
He said the war was coming to an end, it's been very good, they've been very great at it. We've heard that quite a lot. The most interesting part about that was his comments about J.D. Vance, his vice president. Now, just to throw him back a little bit, he fell out with his last vice president, Mike Pence, as well,
yes,
famously towards the end.
Yeah.
Are we starting to see another split here, perhaps a bigger one in MAGA?
Yeah, and I'm surprised because J.D. Vance wants to be president, and the way he would get that is to be vice president and be recommended by Trump to take over the job. And this would seem a bizarre stance to take if you want to be the next president. When you say he's not being visible, I wonder if that's because Trump has told him to stay out of the way, because he doesn't want anybody bad-mouthing this war. This is his big moment. We've heard him talk it up now twice tonight at 2 different conferences. He doesn't want anybody bad-mouthing or raining on his parade. So maybe Vance is being told to shut up and keep out of the way, which is interesting if you're at war with your own deputy while waging a war in another country. Bizarre position to be in.
Really interesting. And I think it's an interesting thought, isn't it, that Donald Trump might be becoming unpopular in America, and therefore J.D. Vance, Benjamin, could be looking at the poll ratings and going, actually, this is a good time to start detaching myself, at least because they were very close before, at least politically now, move out of the spotlight as much as I used to be. Kamala Harris did something very similar with Joe Biden about 2 years into his presidency too. Is that MAGA split perhaps the biggest thing that is a result of this war?
Well, I think J.D. Vance has probably made a decision to disappear because that Make America Great Again base is very against war, is against using taxpayer dollars to fund these interventions. And Donald Trump has bombed 7 countries in his first 13 months, which is more than any other US president post-World War II. And so it's an extraordinary situation itself, but it's very unpopular with the Republican base. And I think that's why what's happening in Iran isn't just significant for global politics and the cost of our living and oil and stuff. It's significant because it could cause serious problems for Donald Trump at home, and he's got those midterm elections coming up. So, this could be the fall of Donald Trump in the popularity on the right.
Yeah, interesting, Sir Jake, as well, because, of course, Donald Trump is always going to be the man of MAGA, but J.D. Vance, if he wants to capture that new Republican base, because it is a new Republican base after all, it's not an old one, the old rhino conservatives that will be very much pro what Trump is doing, the Marco Rubio lot, we would say. We're sort of setting ourselves up for the next election here. Marco Rubio, the Republican, old-school Republican using American might and power, and then you might have the J.D. Vance on the new right, which is no foreign wars, I'll commit to making America great again, not other countries.
Yeah, and I think what we will see, actually, is when those elections take place later this year, you will see power seeping away from President Trump. He can't stand again to be President of the United States again. And you can already see the power struggle between Rubio, between Vance, sort of starting to bubble away. And I think this will be the dividing line. And I actually happen to think that in terms of winning the next election, which I suspect the Republicans won't do anyway, but there's a long way to go, J.D. Vance is going to be on the right side of that argument in terms of getting that crucial nomination to be the next presidential candidate for the Republicans. Yeah, because if you look at the Republican Party, MAGA now, almost like, if you put it in a British context, like Jeremy Corbyn's people took over the Labour Party, MAGA now kind of is the Republican Party. And the bit that Rubio's appealing to, the rhinos, Republican in name only, sort of centrist, right-of-centre people, are a rump.
If Trump thinks that J.D. Vance is doing that or is going to do that, he will destroy him before he's able to do that. He will get rid of him. He will. I don't know how he'll do it.
He cares. That's another thought I had, Carol, was because obviously he hasn't got to worry about re-election. He's in.
Well, no, but anyone who we know how he behaves. He can be very immature, so he would say anyone who betrays him has to be destroyed. And I can see that's what he would do to J.D. Vance.
But I reckon he won't, because he knows that the Republican base, his base, are not happy with this. this. And so when you've got the combination of the quite unprecedented anger about Epstein files that led to that being exposed, and now the foreign wars, I think he is more than savvy enough to know that this isn't an argument he can win. And you see that because he kind of backtracks. He says this is about to be over. He tries to justify Venezuela by saying it's about drug smuggling into the US. I think he can see the way the cards are falling.
And I think that's what we learned from the President Trump this evening is he couldn't commit to ending the war this week. He said, I actually think he said, I think it will be over this week. And that really matters for people here in the UK because the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, came to the House of Commons today basically telling us all our petrol is going to go up at the pump, our gas bills are going to go up, our electricity
Inflation
bills are
is
going to go up,
she said.
Your mortgage is going to go up because the 2-year swap rate, as it's called, on inflation, or on interest rates, which sets the mortgage rate, has already gone up. And so, you know, President Trump needs this war to be over, but so do the British people as well. So that's why I hope he's right. It's a pity he can't now commit to an end date.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because when you look at the reasons why this war might have been started and you connect it to Venezuela and you connect it to other interventions by the United States of America, Carol, it seems to me that the rhinos, the Republican rhinos, first of all, have got more power than we've been led to believe, because this is the sort of stuff they absolutely want. And it's all about extending American power, isn't it? Iran feeding Russia oil, which will help Trump negotiate the end of the war. China needs a lot of oil from Iran too, and so does Venezuela.
Yeah, but can we not also look at the fact that Trump has said tonight Iran needed to be taken out. It needed to be demilitarised. Yes, it absolutely did. It was the world's foremost sponsor of terror. And a lot of people are forgetting that when they're talking about the rights and wrongs of the war. The bottom line is he has what's the word? Another word for demilitarised. He has got rid of everything that would enable them to attack the West. That is a good thing, you know.
I agree.
It is a good thing
Totally agree with you.
for the world.
They're the bad guys in this.
Yeah, they absolutely are. They absolutely are. Benjamin, you'll disagree. Go on.
No, I wasn't disagreeing.
Sorry,
you
think they're the good guys?
Yeah, I thought they were the bad guys. But I would just point out that all roads lead back to China.
Yes.
I think. You know, the main consumer of Iranian oil is China. The Chinese economy, the Politburo met in the last week or two, and they downgraded their growth forecasts for China. And so I think he hopes this damages the Chinese economy.
I think it will.
Xi Jinping.
I think it will, and I think we've got to look at the international consequences of all of this. Of course, we can talk about evil regimes. There's plenty of them, but we're not bombing all of them.
But
there's always a bigger reasons as to why these things happen.
It's all well and good to say it'll damage China. It depends how long it goes on. Of
course.
And actually, what we have learned is that you cannot change regimes from air wars. I mean, if it was the case, Hitler would have changed the regime here in London because we suffered.
Well, should we talk about Keir Starmer? Because he did have a conversation with Donald Trump. Because obviously, you know, Keir Starmer and Donald Trump had a phone call yesterday that's a phone call that's been described as a not very rosy affair. It's turned out, Carol, that at least reportedly, because we don't know the real conversation, do we? But reportedly, Keir Starmer had to use King Charles to try and charm Donald Trump, but apparently Trump was unmoved.
You know, a lot of government officials are now saying that the king should not go on this US state visit until relations are better between the two men. That's absolute tosh. King Charles is the only person who can repair the special relationship for a whole host of reasons, mainly because Trump is in awe of the monarchy. He's in awe of royalty. He respects Charles. He respects his intellect. He will listen to what he has to say in a way he will never listen to what Keir Starmer has to say. I think it's vital he goes to America and repairs this relationship, because Starmer on his own is never going to do it. He's only going to make it worse. And whatever people say, they might hate Trump, they might think he's a bully, all the rest of it, we need America. There was one chief of staff, defence staff in this country said last week, Britain needs 3 things to survive. It needs to be in NATO, it needs nuclear weapons, and it needs the US as an ally.
Yeah, let's bring up the front page of the I believe. They've described this conversation between the two of them as Trump dismissing the Prime Minister in a stormy call there. It's not good, Benjamin. And of course, you know, picture of the king there, which is what we've been hearing reported, and we were just discussing that, Carol, as well, that King Charles is being used as a sort of bit of a charm offensive. We've got the state visit coming up, but seemingly Trump actually doesn't really care that much.
Look, I don't think that... I think, first of all, Trump changes his mind from one day to the next on pretty significant questions on what he thinks of foreign leaders. So the idea this is somehow the end of a special relationship,
oh, come
I think
on.
is heavily
This is much bigger than that. He didn't let him use the bases. He hindered the war as far as
But I also think, you know, the polling on the weekend, actually, the newspaper found that 47% of Brits oppose the UK getting involved by sending our own planes, even providing the bases.
That's not what Trump asked for, planes. He didn't ask for planes.
He asked for the bases.
He asked for two bases.
And that is also opposed by the British people. And so, look, as it happens, I'm not disappointed about the US and Israel action. But the question of the British Prime Minister standing up for our interests, our safety, we didn't get involved in Vietnam.
Hold on.
I think Keir Starmer's
this has been...
So, Jake?
So there's two things. Another terrible decision by Keir Starmer to try and politicise the King in this way, when, as Benjamin says quite correctly, looking at the polling, a lot of the British public oppose this war, incorrectly in my view. But if we look at this war in total, this has been a national humiliation for the United Kingdom.
Totally.
We had attacks on British sovereign territory, kill drones coming onto British sovereign territory, exploding. The government said it damaged the runway. In fact, that wasn't correct. It damaged a radar installation which the Americans are using. And our government just did nothing.
Yeah.
They just did absolutely nothing. We had bombs blowing up. May as well have come to Kent. Right, we had bombs blowing up on British soil and the government did nothing. Let's look at the reaction of our navy. HMS Dragon, apparently going to be deployed to Cyprus, still sat in dock this evening. I doubt it will leave tomorrow. The aircraft carrier that the government said will be deployed to the Mediterranean, still not going to go, apparently not going to go at all now. And to talk about how degraded our navy is, the Royal Navy has had a patrol around the Straits of Hormuz since the end of the Second World War. This government scrapped it in February when we already knew that the Americans were building up forces to take on Iran. This has been a national humiliation. Our Prime Minister has made our country irrelevant, both militarily and diplomatically around the world. And the idea that, you know, we can save this special relationship while Keir Starmer sits in Downing Street as a lawyer, not a leader of our country, is for the buzz. I love the King, but I think it's even beyond that great man.
I don't think you're right. I think Trump respects Charles hugely. We know. I mean, he actually made that speech he made at the state banquet. He actually said, "Together, our two nations have achieved more than any two other nations on this earth," and that is true. And I really believe Charles will be able to talk him round. I
hope you're right.
But you know, it's not to say Starmer won't cock it up again. Of course he will.
But there is that disconnect, isn't there, between the monarch and the Prime Minister? And I think even the President understands that disconnect, perhaps, Benjamin?
Well, look, the King will go in a few months to the 250th anniversary of independence.
It's April,
very soon even. And I'm sure that will be a great success, and that will be more significant about the relationship than the two individual leaders. But look, I don't think people in this country are thirsty for British money and military power to go in this war. And so, while it's not necessarily my view, I think Keir Starmer is in touch with the country, and it shouldn't be the case that the British Prime Minister is just a lapdog of the US President. I thought that was the lesson of the Iraq war.
You know, people in this country sit in their living rooms at home, safe in front of the fire, in front of the telly, not having to be confronted by war, and they think it's always going to be like that. You know, Israel and America are currently doing the West dirty work for them by destroying a power that could destroy us all.
Yeah,
it's not, no one wants to go to war.
Hang on, let me just put this to Sir Jake, because I was thinking about this the other day as well, but Keir Starmer's political love mates, and I would say the Prime Minister of Australia, the Prime Minister of Canada, both politically
came out and supported
it.
And they didn't go and use they didn't say we're going to go and bomb Iran as well. They just said you can use whatever you need to. We've also got joint military bases with the United States, Chagos being one of them. Surely, at what point in time do we say, not only are we not actively participating, we're basically against the war?
See, we've got to work out who our friends are. This is a very dangerous world. And, you know, Putin is obviously playing a hand in Iran. President Trump had a call with him today. I'm not sure I believe what Putin told me. I'm not sure President Trump should. This is a very dangerous world, and we've got to work out who our friends are. And that's got to be NATO. Really interesting to see that there was a further escalation today with a drone shot down in Turkey. And Turkey has the second largest army in NATO. It is a huge military power, to whom, by the way, I'm very pleased to say we are selling fighter planes made in Lancashire, near my old constituency. That is a huge military power. And I think it's really, really important that we spot allies like that. We support Turkey. Let's not forget that half of Cyprus, the Northern Republic of Cyprus, is Turkish. We've got to support Turkey. We've got to stand with our allies. And I tell you who's worked this out is Macron. He has sent multiple, I think it's about 6 or 7 in total, ships to the region to support Cyprus, both northern and southern Cyprus. He's standing with Turkey. He's going to send American warships, he announced today, to the Straits of Hormuz to stand with the Americans to restart the oil infrastructure and things coming through the Straits of Hormuz. This has been a national humiliation. Starmer is a disgrace.
Yeah, it really has been. And let's not forget the Communist Party in Cyprus are trying to get rid of British bases, by the way, and they'll have an argument for it now. They came under attack and we did nothing. We did absolutely nothing. It's so embarrassing. Anyway, look, coming up, I'm going to have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and we're going to go live to our chief US correspondent, Ben Leo in Washington, for all the latest.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
We have a couple of days of training before the opening ceremony starts, and then as soon as that finished, we packed up all our bags and we left for Germany. So we went out of the village for like 4 or 5 days.
Did you? Right.
Yeah. So we have a bit of a training camp away from that, so we can get some better food and a bit of a better routine instead of having all the distractions around the Olympics. And then we came back in ready for our official training.
So the food wasn't so great in the Olympic Village? Is this what we're getting from this?
It wasn't for me, no.
Okay.
It was okay. I lost a decent amount of weight during the time there, but some people enjoyed it, other people struggled. But it's just the same thing every day for a 3-week period. It gets a bit monotonous.
Now, they say 2-man bob and 4-man bob. It was 7th in the end for you, and you did us proud, and we always love to see you and see you representing your country, and you do a great job. But the Germans, I mean, we were talking about this Monday or Tuesday, and Ellie was saying to me, why is it? So how is it that the Germans are so good at bobsleigh? I know you've had wins against them, but it's just this domination. Why is it? I'm saying it's the Vorsprung Dirk Technik maybe of the bob, or is it the athletes? What is it about the Germans?
There's a combination of everything. So they run their program very, very well. So they have a lot of funding that comes in, and they have 4 of their own tracks. They have the push tracks where you practice physically and push in the summer. They have probably 15 or 20 of those dotted around the country when we only have 1. So they do everything to the best of their ability. So they maximise absolutely everything. So that's why they're so good. So we do pretty well considering what we have available to us. But it's still we're up against it when we go against the Germans. But they do everything phenomenally well.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're ahead of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here. In addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe 3 times.
That was President of the United States, Donald Trump, of course, giving the world practically an update on the war in Iran. I've got your front pages here. What do you think's on them? Should we go through them together? The Telegraph, Trump, Iran war very complete. The Sun, Trump, war is near end. The Daily Mail, Trump, Iran war is pretty much over. Guardian, Reeves warns of cost of living rise as war on Iran hikes energy prices. The Metro, drive less to save on fuel as oil prices soar. All right, listen, I'm still here with the gang. Well, look, I guess the main headline here is that war is very complete, according to...
Pretty much.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, look, I think on the oil price stuff, which has been a big topic of conversation, I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's a little bit boring after all. However, oil is important because it is the driver of many economies around the world, including for people here in Britain. Their oil prices, their petrol prices will be going up. But seemingly, as soon as Donald Trump said that the war's coming near an end, the prices just dropped down again.
Yeah, it went from $120 a barrel to just under $90,
Incredible.
which is a massive shift. But I think it also shows, because some people might be thinking, well, what's happening in Iran matter so much, that there's one thing that we can't cope with, and that's anything upwards on energy prices. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, today said that this will have an upwards effect on inflation. So she's warning that that could be one of the knock-ons in coming weeks and months. And so I think there is a real danger that this could have a serious effect on a fairly fragile economy. That also arguably is one of the reasons why Keir Starmer isn't unwise to not be gung-ho with this.
Well, you can see that what Rachel Reeves is going to do, can't you? The Express has got her saying that she's defying Plato access at punishing fuel duty hike. She's going to use this war to excuse every bad decision she's made in the past 2 years. You can see it already. She's saying inflation's...
Didn't work for Rishi Sunak, though, did it?
No.
Talking to people about the Ukraine war, they actually care about what's happening at the petrol.
Well, but she said she's going to continue with all her plans, despite what's happening in the Middle East. A good chancellor would actually alter and change her plans to try and accommodate the British people, who are going to be completely skinned.
Yeah, well, I think, particularly with fuel, we start from a position where we have some of the most... I think we actually have the most expensive commercial electricity in the world, which is hugely damaging for our economy. A lot of it driven by the net zero madness of Ed Miliband.
Yep.
You know, actually, wind and solar generated only 15% of what went into the grid today, which just shows how vulnerable we are, how much we still rely on fossil fuels. They're absolutely hammering the North Sea. They've banned new explorations in the North Sea. They haven't banned oil and gas. They've just banned British oil and gas. So if you go 10 miles further out to sea and you're in the Norway gas fields, they can drill and actually extract the British gas. It is absolute insanity.
And then we buy it off of them.
Yeah, exactly. And until we ditch this net zero lunacy, you know, the British economy is not going to thrive, because you can't have a successful economy and expensive energy.
Yeah.
America's proved that.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the break, but I think it's interesting because on the front page of the Daily Telegraph, you can see that on your screens right now, on the top sort of middle right, they've got here, Macron seizes initiative in the Gulf as he sends unprecedented naval fleet to the region. This would have Nelson turning in his grave, wouldn't it, Carol?
It would have who turning in his grave?
Nelson, Admiral Nelson.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Melton.
Well, Napoleon would be happy about it, I'm sure.
Yes, in fact, one MP said exactly that last week. It might have been Mark Francois. I can't remember. Anyway, they said that Nelson was, you know, and in terms of Starmer, saying for him it's like turning up at the Battle of Trafalgar a week late.
Yeah.
The war's over.
What you asked me.
Look, I think the Royal Navy currently have, estimates vary, but I think it's 15 ships on Navy House, which is absolutely nothing, of which only three are currently in service. It is absolutely
There's only one that's operational now. Okay. Only one out of the 5 or 6 we have.
And we know that oil is part of Iran's strategy. So the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, their spokesman said, you carry on bombing us if you want it to be $200 a barrel. So they will be hoping that these prices go back up because that will constrain Western leaders. I suppose the argument is that when that happens, does that not say that Britain should be involved? Because then you want to try and nip it in the bud with as much force as possible.
Yeah, well, let's go back to The Guardian very briefly, because Reeves, of course, is warning of this cost of living rise. It just shows we are so unprepared for any... and we're so globalised now, aren't we, that anything that happens around the world, if they even have a little sneeze We are sick to death, literally. We are in our bed. We're bedridden as a country at the moment, aren't we? Because if anything happens, any global volatility, it seems like our leaders have just priced in peace as a given.
And yes, that's a very good way to put it. Yeah, and you know, a good chancellor would have plans in place for exactly this. And Reeves is already. She hasn't said she's going to help families. Yeah. We know some families are already living on the edge. They're living on the breadline right now. This is, remember Miliband, who promised families that would be 300 quid less a year for their fuel bills. Families, that hasn't happened. So families are going to be in a mess. Thank God summer is coming, and we're not heading into the depths of a cold snap, because this would literally kill some people, especially pensioners.
So true.
I mean, it's quite extraordinary that you've got in the Metro the AA and RAC saying, well, drive less, that's the way to solve this problem.
And it really isn't.
Doesn't feel like it's in the self-interest of their business model.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
Drive slower,
less TV. No, please don't. I mean, what a stupid thing to say. Because, and also, it always goes back to the little people, doesn't it? We have to be punished. We always have to be punished as a result of these things because they haven't prepared.
And one group of people who we don't talk about very much, and we really should have in our mind, is people living in rural communities up and down the UK who rely on heating oil. I was looking at the heating oil graph over the last couple of weeks. It is almost doubled. And they have no alternative fuel. They can't say, well, you know what, I'll switch to gas. They often live in older properties. It's just another way that this government is hammering rural communities, whether it's the farmers' tax or now there's no help from the government for people with heating oil. And I was speaking to an elderly couple today, and they are terrified, won't turn the heating on. The winter's not quite over yet because of this huge rise in heating oil. It's time the government acted on that.
I mean, this whole thing, this last 10 days have been so humiliating for our country. Not only have we been embarrassed on the world stage, domestically we're struggling as well as a result of this. And of course, our Prime Minister's been humiliated. Even in this phone call, he's been slapped down by the President of the United States. How much worse could he get?
And he's being slapped down. All our Middle Eastern allies are saying, you know, you've done nothing to help us. You've done nothing to help the 250,000 people who live in our countries who are Brits. And it's true, he has done nothing. This shows what an utter shambles this government.
And the real question I'd love, we've had lots of people in the media, actually, and in Parliament, sneering about people who live in Dubai and places like that. We should be asking ourselves, why is Dubai the 12th largest British city in the world? Why are people fleeing the UK?
Indeed. And listen, we'll talk more about that after your weather. Lots more to come.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again. Very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. But you have some more persistent rain starting to push its way in from the west as we go through tonight and into tomorrow. Cloud is going to be quite prevalent, not a huge amount of sunshine on offer. That's because there are so many fronts, but it's a front out towards the west that's bringing more persistent rain. Initially across Northern Ireland, but it is going to feed into western parts of Scotland as we go through the early hours of tomorrow. Ahead of that, a lot of cloud for many places. Some outbreaks of rain here and there, just some clearer spells, perhaps across parts of the Midlands maybe, and where we get any clearer breaks could turn a little chilly for some of us, but most places seeing the cloud, and as a result temperatures not dropping especially low. So we wake up tomorrow morning, quite a grey start for many of us, just this slice of clearer skies across some central into southern areas, having a bit more sunshine here. Elsewhere, yes, lots of cloud, a few outbreaks of rain, nothing especially heavy, perhaps some more persistent rain initially for Northern Ireland, but that clearing through, so starting to turn drier here as we go through the morning. Bit of a west-east split across much of Scotland, quite cloudy, damp across